How to express your emotions to your spouse? That's the question I'm going to answer in this particular video. Hi, my name is Valerian Sequeira and I teach relationship science to bring back love. In this video, I'm going to talk about how do you express your emotions to your spouse, especially the ones where you are not comfortable, you are upset, you are angry. How do you express them in a way that your wife or your spouse listens? She understands and she reciprocates in a positive way. And in order for us to understand this, we got to make sense of three things. The first one is creating a loving, safe environment. The second one is self soothing. And the third one is the language that we use. Now, before we talk about these three important elements to express our emotions, I want to talk about why is it easy at the beginning. Like there is, when they say that marriage is the only thing in life which starts easy and then becomes difficult. And in fact, it is true. Look around. If you wanted to learn bicycle, it was difficult at the beginning and then it became easy. You wanted to learn typing, difficult at the beginning, becomes easy later. But marriage is the only one which starts easy but becomes difficult. Why? It's because nature has wired us for a purpose of mating and procreation. So when we connect with one more human being, of the opposite sex or the same sex, depending on our orientation, when we connect with that one more human being and when we are sexually attracted to that person, our brain produces a lot of happy chemicals. It's the similar chemicals or the hormones that a brain produces when a person takes any kind of substance like alcohol, like cigarettes. It's a similar kind. So you are in a sort of a high mode. And because of this, you don't have any problem expressing your emotions. Your spouse doesn't have any problem listening to those emotions. But then what happens is this romance stage, this infatuation, this high phase gets over and it's supposed to end. And when this high phase gets over, we get into something called a power struggle stage. And once we get into power struggle stage, there is no school in the world which teaches us how to get out of the power struggle stage and into mature love, becoming each other's best friends. And for that reason, all of us and most of us, they say 7 out of 10 marriages never cross the power struggle stage. And we get stuck here and we start going round and round. We listen to our parents who are also going through a power struggle stage. We listen to our relatives who are giving us advice to do things, who are also going through a power struggle stage. And we start doing the wrong things in our relationship, which only destroys the relationship. And at the end, because we are not able to see our own mistakes, we blame the other person. So if you are somebody who is interested in knowing more about power struggle stage and how do you move from power struggle to mature love, I invite you to attend my free masterclass. I've given you the link out here. It's coachval.co. Go to that link and attend my free masterclass. Now let's continue to the next thing. That is that if we want our spouse to listen to our emotions, listen to understand what we are going through, the first thing we got to do is create a loving, caring environment. This is the criteria, this is the prerequisite. And one of my mentors says, the relationship or marriage is not in me, not in my wife, it's between us, the space between us. And that's what I'm talking about, a loving environment. How do you most marriages do not have a loving environment, especially after a year of marriage, after 2 years of marriage? The environment is very tense. There is criticism, there is defensiveness. Very rarely anybody appreciates each other. There is very little gratitude. And all that the people think about is how do I get what I want in this relationship? And then they get into a mode of complaining and criticizing. And some people do it overtly, telling the other person, or some people do it covertly. That means they just shut themselves and suppress the feelings. But in their mind, they're criticizing. Why? Because, as I said earlier, it's a power struggle. So the first thing I got to understand before I think about expressing my emotions is to create an environment. And it is the small things in our relationships create a loving environment. It is how I say hello to my wife. Do I say good morning to her? These are the small things. Do I say thank you? Do I apologize? Do I request? And this, if we had been in power struggle for a long time, creating this kind of environment takes some time, probably 3 months, 6 months, and you got to be consistent. You can't be one day being very nice to your spouse and one day you're not. You got to be consistent, and you got to have a mindset of a hero. You're not. If you want to have a great marriage, you cannot expect your wife to do something. You got to do it. Marriage is about 100-0. It's not 50-50. Those people who think that marriage is about 50-50, they don't have a great marriage. Just check it out and you'll find out. So the first thing is creating a most loving, caring environment where there is positive vibration, where there is love. And it all starts with one person. It could start with you, and it is passed on to your spouse. Now, the second thing is, once you have this loving environment, once there is connection, now what you need to do when you're upset, when you're stressed out, is you got to do something called self-soothing. So what happens is, as soon as you feel hurt by your spouse's actions, your mind goes into something called a primal panic. What's a primal panic? Of your brain is flooded with emotions, and these emotions convert into basically the emotions coming from feeling unloved, and they convert into anger, irritation, frustration. So give you an example. Let's say your spouse comes home late and she doesn't inform you. Now what you feel is you don't matter, and your brain is flooded with emotions. And at this moment, what you need to do is you got to do something called self-soothing. You got to calm yourself down, because if you don't calm yourself down, whatever you're going to say is going to be hurtful to your wife. It is going to make your wife feel that she's wrong, she's bad. And when that happens, your wife is not will not be in a mood to listen, will not be in a mood to listen. So the first thing to do is self-soothing. That means you take a pause, you relax yourself, maybe take a break, maybe go out, have a cup of chai, so that you are relaxed. And the second thing to do is you got to look at the situation from your spouse's side. That also help in self-soothing. Let's say my spouse comes home late, and I have two ways of thinking. The first one is she's purposely doing it. The second one is probably there was traffic. Probably there was some situation in the office. Probably that she forgot to tell me. Now, most people who are stuck in power struggle stage never think about it from their spouse's side. All that they say is, my spouse is not doing this. Probably this video is for my spouse, not for me, because she's doing it. Because they're not thinking from their spouse's side. They're not understanding it. But as you understand this concept of looking at it from your spouse's side, you relax, you calm down. And once you calm down, your goal of telling your spouse is what you felt is not to put her down, not to make her feel wrong, but to express what you're feeling. Most people either they blast out or they suppress it. Here we are talking about expressing in a way that your spouse can understand. And in order to express it, you got to use the right language. What's the language? The language is very simple, but you got to practice it, because nobody teaches us this kind of language in any school, especially with our spouse. Nobody uses this language. So what's the language? The first thing is, I felt or I thought. So this is what happened. So the first thing you're going to say is, yesterday when you came home late, I felt rejected. I felt low. I felt frustrated. So I feel or I thought. The second thing is, you're saying, I'm not sure uh, about telling you this, because maybe that you had some work in the office and that's why you were late. So I'm not sure. This is the second statement you might be making. And when I say this, you might feel or you might think that I don't care about you. You might feel this way. but I just wanted you to know. And the fourth thing is at the same time. You know, I understand that you had work in the office and that's why you are late. But at the same time, if you can do this, if you can inform me, I'll feel much at ease. And you're just letting your spouse know this. You're using I feel, I think language. I'm not sure. You might not like what I'm going to say, but nevertheless, let me share it with you. You might feel or you might think when I share this, you might feel this way or you might feel think this way. And at the same time, um, I want you to do this. Now, this is the way you communicate with your spouse. And after that, you just leave it. Let your spouse process it for herself and let her decide how to go about. You're not going to focus on this. Most people, focus on one thing that is negative and then they go round and round. But you're just going to let your spouse know and you will get back to loving her, get back to caring about her, get back to making her feel loved. Because only when people feel loved, when our spouse feels loved, not when we love her, she'll also start making her feel loved. The only thing we are doing is we are letting our spouse know how to love us. And as we end this video, before I ask you to write in the comments, I want to reiterate the prerequisite. This doesn't work if you are deep into power struggle stage. This doesn't work if you have been fighting and arguing and not talking to each other for months and probably years. It won't work. So the prerequisite is to create an environment. So first thing you got to work on is creating the environment, which is calm, which is relaxed. Your wife feels that she matters to you. You are there for her. And then when you start doing this, your wife will be calm to listen. So that's all for this video. And if you have liked this video, please click on that like button. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead, subscribe to this channel. And if you have not pressed the bell icon, go ahead, press that bell icon, because that's how you get a notification every week when I put up a video. And before we end, I want you to think about what's the one great insight that you had about your marriage. Just write in the comment section and then continue to watch my next video. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.